The only way to beat Donald Trump is for us to continue to unite, to stand together. And last night you saw a clear contrast. If you want a Washington deal maker who will go to Washington and cut deals with the Democrats, cut deals with Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, then Donald Trump is your man. That's what he's promising to do. I stand with the millions of Americans who are frustrated, who are fed up with Washington deal makers, because the deals always benefit the rich and powerful. They always benefit Wall Street. They always benefit the giant corporations. And the people that get left in the cold in the Washington deals are always the working men and women of this country. We need a president who stands with the working men and women of this country. If I'm elected president, we will repeal every word of Obamacare. We will pass a simple flat tax and abolish the IRS. We will stop amnesty and secure the borders. And the result will be millions and millions of high-paying jobs. Wages going up for the first time in over a decade. Young people coming out of school with 2, 3, 4, 5 job opportunities. We can do that, and this election is about a fundamental choice. There is no doubt if we remain divided, Donald Trump wins.
What do you think?
Remaining divided is a path to catastrophe for this country, and so I welcome the supporters of every other candidate to come together, and I welcome the other candidates for us to stand together. What Super Tuesday demonstrated is if you want to beat Donald Trump, ours is the only campaign that has done so, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 5 states. We've beaten Donald Trump, and we will continue to compete vigorously. And the more we unite Republicans, the more we're going to beat Donald. And when we do that, we will defeat Hillary Clinton in November, and we will turn this country around. We will bring back the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And at this point, I'm not engaging in any negotiations. I'm focused on winning the nomination. You know, I have to say, a lot of folks in Washington are really right now talking about a brokered convention. A brokered convention is the pipe dream of the Washington establishment. It is their hope that they can come and snatch this nomination away from the people. And the Washington establishment, they're frustrated. All of their chosen candidates, all of their golden child candidates aren't winning. And they don't understand. They picked who they want the nominee to be, and there's just one little detail: they can't actually get the votes from the people. In my view, a brokered convention ain't going to happen. And if the Washington deal makers tried to steal the nomination from the people, I think it would be a disaster. It would cause a revolt. Instead, the answer is real simple. We've got to win this nomination. 1,237 delegates is what it takes to be the Republican nominee. Now, if you look at where we are in delegates right now, fewer than 100 delegates separates Donald Trump and me. I am the only candidate that has the delegate count, that has the state wins, that is in a position to beat Donald Trump. And if you want to beat Donald, the way to do it is come together behind this campaign. And that's what we're working hard to do. You know, last night was really striking. All of us are used to political candidates who run to the right in the primary and then run to the center in the general elections. One of the reasons we're frustrated, because they make promises to get the nomination, and then they promptly go to Washington and break all of those promises. Now, normally a politician waits till the general election to do it. Last night, Donald Trump started galloping to the center before the primary is over. Donald Trump repeatedly emphasized flexibility, that he will be flexible on every principle, every issue. He will be flexible. He echoed what he reportedly said to the New York Times editorial board, that everything he said on immigration, you know, that's really been Donald's signature issue. It's what he's talked about the most. Apparently he told the New York Times editorial board everything he's saying on immigration he doesn't mean. He's not going to build a wall. He's not going to deport anyone. On the debate stage last night, he changed his views on H-1B visas. He said suddenly he's now for expanding H-1B visas to take away American jobs. And one of the more stunning moments of the debate last night was when he turned to Marco Rubio, and Donald Trump said, "Marco, I agree with you. The flexibility you showed negotiating with Democrats in the Gang of Eight amnesty bill." You want to talk about a stunning moment on the debate stage where Donald Trump is saying he agrees with Marco Rubio and the Democrats on the Gang of Eight amnesty bill, that's good flexibility. Well, on one level, that shouldn't be surprising, because Donald Trump funded the Gang of Eight. He funded, of the 8 members of the Gang of Eight, Donald gave contributions to 5 of them, over $50,000. But it was still stunning for a candidate who has pretended to be opposed to illegal immigration, for him to say it on that debate stage. And there was another moment that not many folks in the media picked up on, when Donald was asked about his foreign policy views. And he was said, "Who do you listen to on foreign policy?" The very first name out of his mouth was Richard Haas. Now, most Americans have no idea who that is, but the D.C. establishment does. Richard Haas is the president of the Council on Foreign Relations. Richard Haas is a lifelong liberal, is someone who has advised Hillary Clinton in the State Department. What does it say about you that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton both listened to the same advisor? Look, on one level, it's not surprising. Remember, Donald Trump is someone who supported Jimmy Carter over Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump is someone who supported John Kerry over W. Bush. Donald Trump is someone who contributed 4 times to the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign in 2008. But for him to admit that the first name he listens to on foreign policy is the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, a liberal Hillary Clinton acolyte, is a fairly extraordinary admission. And I will say this, let me speak for a minute to the Donald Trump supporters. I get that people are angry. We're so frustrated. We're so furious because we've been lied to. We've been lied to over and over and over again. But Donald Trump embodies that Washington corruption that we are angry about. The answer to that corruption is not to go with someone who's been funding liberal Democrats for 4 decades, who's been enmeshed in that corruption. And it's worth underscoring, Donald is telling us he will betray us on everything he's campaigning on. When Donald Trump stood on that debate stage and said over and over again, you got to be flexible, you got to be flexible. Flexible is Washington code word that he's going to stick it to the people. That's what Washington politicians say when they're being flexible. What it means is the rich and powerful are going to get taken care of, just like Donald Trump supported Obama's Wall Street bailout and Target. And the working men and women, flexibility means government is going to help the rich and powerful, and the working men and women are going to get left behind. And I'll tell you, here in Maine, I'm encouraged by the support we have on the ground. I'm encouraged by the support we have from conservatives. I'm encouraged by the support we have from libertarians. The liberty movement that believes passionately in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I've spent my whole life fighting to defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Donald Trump told everyone in the last 2 debates that when it comes to the Bill of Rights, when it comes to the Constitution, he will be flexible. He will negotiate. 2 debates ago, he lectured me, Ted, you got to be willing to negotiate and compromise with Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer on Supreme Court appointments. Well, let me be clear to the men and women of Maine. There are areas where compromise is appropriate. If you're talking about marginal tax rates, you can reach a middle ground and negotiate on a question like that. But there are other areas that should not be up for compromise. The Constitution and Bill of Rights should not be up for compromise. And I will tell the men and women of Maine, I will not compromise away your religious liberty. I will not compromise away your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. The Constitution and Bill of Rights are not up for negotiation. And when Donald Trump tells you that he will cut a deal with Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer on Antonin Scalia's replacement, the inevitable conclusion of that deal will be that he would nominate a liberal activist to the court who would take away our free speech, take away our religious liberty, take away our right to keep and bear arms.